So hi guys. Sorry for the delay. There was a small technical issue with respect to the unfortunately the moderator cannot log into the meeting, so I will therefore go ahead and start. So I'm Kanishk Okwila. You might have sometimes seen me at the inauguration. I spoke to some of you, those who are doing biological sciences and also those who are in my mentor group. So I, apart from being a senior lecturer at the Faculty of Applied Sciences, I also serve as a as a deputy proctor of this faculty. So my role as a deputy proctor is to ensure the ensure that the students maintain their discipline in the faculty. Uh, so um, so as a result, my duty has also been to ensure that the students who are entering the faculty would also know their rules and regulations and responsibilities. So therefore, this session is therefore dedicated uh, to to enlighten you about about the rules and the regulations you have to follow as students, and also how as students you should maintain your discipline while you are students here. Yes. So I hope I'm audible. I think some of you had sent messages to the chat box inquiring whether I've actually started the uh, meeting. No, I haven't. I'm just starting now. Basically, that's because of the technical glitch that we had before. Please respond so that I can proceed. From I think I am audible, at least for myself. My mics are fixed in. Okay. The voice is sound is low. Yeah, that is always a problem. Can you hear me now? I've just got the microphone closer to my mouth. All right. Yeah, sounds like you can hear me now. Right. Fine. Right. Okay. So I'll get started with the presentation. Right. So first of all, I have a question for you guys. So why do we need rules and regulations? Right? So all countries, I mean, all societies usually have rules and regulations. What is the necessity behind having rules and regulations? So in terms of civilization, uh, having rules and regulations ensures fairness and safety, and it protects the weak in our society. So that is one of the major reasons that through the civilization we had uh, created rules and regulations that we are supposed to follow. So in an institution like this, rules and regulations provide us a framework to work with, and also ensures fairness and safety and consistency for all the operations and the governance of the institution. So uh, rules and regulations that have been set for the state universities to follow uh, have been initially stipulated by the Universities Act of 1978. And if anybody wants to clarify about these rules and regulations, you can also follow the section number 16 reference to the discipline of the particular act. Those who are also logging in, please kindly mute your microphone. Right. Please kindly mute your microphones. It's kindly uh, currently disturbing my presentation. Okay. Right. Still, okay, guys. Sorry about that. There was a internet disconnection. Right. We are back. I think you can see my presentation now. Okay. Right. Can you see the presentation now? I'm sharing the screen. Right. So um, I was just stating that as students who are enrolled in this institution or the faculty, that it is your responsibility to be aware of all the rules and the regulations that you're supposed to abide by in this while you're being students in the university. So where can you find the rules and the regulations that you're supposed to follow while you're being students here? Right? So the point of reference is the university student charter, right? The university students charter uh, serves as a guide to all university students where it specifies all the rules and the regulations you are supposed to follow. And it also provides guidelines for us as academics and then also the administrative and the administrative supportive staff and the public about your rules and the regulations that you're supposed to follow and also your responsibilities. So that will of course help us, the government and the public, to invest and harvest the fruits of the university education of this country. So what does the student charter provide? It provides it states the ethical and unethical and the unlawful activities that are prohibited in the universities. It also states the consequences that you will have to face if you are engaged in any of these unethical and unlawful activities, and also describes the disciplinary procedures that the university will follow, as well as the administrative staff are supposed to follow in case of such unethical and unlawful activities undertaken by the students, right? And it also states the possible punishments that students are supposed to face in case of such activities. So where can you find the university student charter, right? So it can be available. It's available in the University Grants Commission website. Apart from that, it can also be found in the faculty website. So if you go to the university the faculty website, the applied sciences faculty website, and if you click on the students menu in the home page, there'll be a link to the students charter document. So what is being mentioned in the university students charter, right? So with respect to unethical and unlawful activities, there are 40 different activities that are being mentioned in the student charter. So the first one is plagiarism and cheating in exams, the disorderly conduct, dissent and protests, and disrespect and non-compliance to industry rules and regulations, the wrongful utilization of goods and services or information, unauthorized collection of funds while being students in the university and under the name of the university, possession and consumption of alcohol, drugs, and tobacco while within the university premises, gambling while in the university within the university premises, harassment and violence, harassment of other students, and involved in violence within the university premises, ragging, sexual harassment and sexual misconduct, theft, vandalism, unauthorized entry, and lack of cooperation with the authorities and committees of inquiry within the university. So I will explain what is being, or the specific, or provide specific details about each of these activities. So the first one, plagiarism and cheating. So what is plagiarism? So the plagiarism is the act of using someone else's work or ideas or words without the proper acknowledgement or permission of that particular individual and presenting it as it's your own work, right? So this is the University of Oxford or Oxford Dictionary definition of plagiarism, right? So it involves, copying word to word text from a source without quotation, right? So if you're quoting, if you're in one of your assignments that you're being supposed to submit, right? If you're copying text from a textbook or from an online article or research paper, right? So if you're quoting that, you're directly copying word to word from that, right? You're supposed to provide that within quotations. You can, of course, even if you change the wording, right, and paraphrase it, you will still have to, provide the source of your information, right? So the same thing can be applied for someone else's ideas, right? If you're copying it from a friend or a colleague, right? You have to, do this. So, but remember, right? If you're copying it from a colleague who is also supposed to submit the same assignment, right? Of course, citing that as a source will be detrimental and will be considered as copying. So make sure that you don't copy from your colleague or a friend, but instead, use information from a valid source rather than copying it from one of your colleagues. The same applies to images and also data. You will have to, once you're a student here, sometimes you will have to collect your own data when you're supposed to do an assignment, and even sometimes for those who are involved in, ICT, you're supposed to sometimes generate your own computer codes, right? So make sure that you're not copying these coding from another colleague, right? So submitting essays and research papers, articles, all of this, if you're getting information from external sources, you will have to provide the source of this information. So cheating in exams is also considered as a major offense, right? So cheating is the copying and keeping of unauthorized material at examinations. So, so when you're entering the examination hall, make sure that you don't have any unauthorized material. Unauthorized material can be considered as any written material apart from your student ID card, student record book, right? Anything else can be considered as unauthorized material, and if you are found in the possession of such material, you can be, removed from the exam hall and be reported to the registrar of the faculty, and then disciplinary action will be taken by the registrar and the disciplinary committee of the faculty. Specific information regarding this plagiarism and cheating and exam violations can be found in the page 10, section 6.2.1 in page 10 of the student handbook, uh, uh, and uh, and also page 10 of the student charter, right? So there's a separate book called the student handbook, and there'll be a separate session discussing the student handbook and course selection, right? So all of you will be provided with a student handbook, so you can get information about exam violation, plagiarism, and cheating in that, and also in page 30 of the student charter. So plagiarism, as I mentioned before, is committed exams, like if you're copying from another person, that can be considered as plagiarism. Apart from copying word to word or verbatim from other sources, and also while you're submitting exams, assignments, right? So I'm just provided some screenshots from previous, decisions from the faculty university senate with respect to disciplinary action taken against exam violators. You can see, if you can read this text here, you will notice that, in certain cases, the student has to repeat the exam, and the maximum grade that student will get for that course in that exam will be C. And in certain cases, um, all the grades in that semester where the offense was committed has been converted to C, right? Even if you get A pluses for all the grades, right? All the courses that you have set for, all the exams of the courses that you set for, you will get C's, right? So there's no recovery with respect to your GPA if you set it or the inquiry board provides a decision like that. So make sure, right, that you are not involved in any exam violation or plagiarism or cheating at the exams. So the next is disorderly conduct, dissent, and protests, right? So what comes under this, right? So violation of the standards of morality, right? So what is morality? Morality is what we perceive as right and wrong, right? So if you violate the standards of what is being considered as right and wrong, and also violation of university norms, right? And also involved in offensive or vulgar or rude or indecent behavior, right? And if you're involved in breaking the civil laws or breaking the university regulations, all of these can be considered as disorderly conduct, dissent, and disorderly conduct and dissent, right? So any student involved in any of these above activities can be considered breaking the law of the university, breaking the rules and regulations of the university, and then they can be subject to disciplinary action, right? So don't misunderstand. Students can, voice their opinion about, injustice in the university, and they can protest with respect to injustice in the university. But this doesn't mean that these protests has to get violent, right? And then, of course, violate the rules and the regulations of the university. Students, I reiterate, right? Students have the right to protest, but these protests should be conducted in a manner that you don't break the rules and the regulations of the country, and then also it does not violate the rights of the pedestrians or the people of this island. Excuse me. Right. So remember, if you're involved in any of these activities, you can be subjected to disciplinary action. You'll have to face disciplinary inquiries, and then can be, subject to action. So next is disrespect and non-compliance. What does this mean, right? So you can be disrespectful to individuals of your own of your own batchmates, right? So you might behave disrespectfully to your own colleagues, and also members of the staff, the lecturers, and also the academic and the non-academic staff at the university. And then it could also be involved in engaging indecent and inappropriate gestures, right? So you don't have to, even utter a word, but if you're involved in gestures that are indecent and inappropriate, right, that can be considered as disrespectful and disrespectful behavior. So if you are involved in providing fraudulent or false information to the university officials, for example, if the university staff has the right to ask for, for your IDs or your identity, your name, right? So so if you fail to provide your ID, if you end up providing a false name, a fake name, and a fake ID, right? And if you are found guilty of such a such an offense, right? Uh, uh, Disciplinary action can be taken against you. And if you've been asked to leave a particular place, leave an exam hall, right? That is an authority, right? And by authority given by the university official. And if you don't respect that, if you don't comply, if you don't agree with that request, again, you can be held in non-compliance with the university regulations and rules and regulations, and you will be subjected to disciplinary inquiries and disciplinary action. So you might sometimes intentionally and knowingly interfere with the teaching of the institute, right? Again, that can be considered, right? If you behave in such a way that it disturbs the teaching, the normal teaching activities of the university, you can be considered disrespectful and non-compliance with the university rules and regulations. And sometimes you could be involved in any offense or violations of the university rules, and you could be involved in a disciplinary inquiry, right? Sometimes students end up obstructing and hindering these investigations, right? And as a result, again, if you're found guilty of that activity as well, your disciplinary, the actions will be doubled, right? If you're found both guilty of both committing a crime, committing an offense in the university, and also involved in obstructing the investigations, your punishments could be doubled. So students can also be involved in wrongful utilization of the goods and the services or information of the university. Right? What comes under this, right? So you're not supposed to be in the possession of any university property without the authorization of the university officials, right? You can't have any instruments owned by the university without any prior permission, right? So make sure that if you borrow any equipment of the university, or any item of the university owned by the university, make sure that you get written permission from the authorities before you borrow it or before you take it to your possession. And also, uh, stealing money and obtaining money, goods and services of the university uh, under the false claims, right? So without getting proper clearance, proper permission, you are not supposed to collect money and also goods and services from the institute or from outside, right? So if you remember, if you are supposed to collect money from the public, you have to obtain written permission from the vice chancellor, right? So students find it, crowdfunding, right? So basically, crowdfunding is the technical term for basically what you call cataholdana, right? So students routinely, go to the public and they ask for money. They use provide tills and try to get money or extract money from the public, right? Remember, people are involved in all of this. Students are involved in all of this, but that is done without the consent of the vice chancellor. So make sure to ask your seniors if you are ever being asked to be involved in collecting money from outside sources, including the public, right? Make sure that you have written permission to go about it. So, so if you're involved in forging or changing the information of your information in your administrative records, right? So all of your records, when you apply for the university here, that those records are being maintained in the university, right? So you might end up feel like changing them, right? For various reasons. Your email addresses, phone numbers, your addresses, even your name, right? So or not, those can be changed without proper reason, right? If you're found changing such information for personal benefits, and if you're found guilty of such an offense, again, disciplinary action can be taken against you. And at the same time, if you change your student identity card information, right, for obvious reasons like to change your identity, right, and if you're found guilty of such offenses, again, disciplinary action can be taken against you. So with respect to something that I've just mentioned now, right, again, unauthorized collection of funds, right, basically uh, collecting money from outside sources and the public have to be is carefully regulated, and make sure that you ask for clearance from the vice chancellor's authorization before you go about collecting money from the public. So you're not allowed to uh, have or be in the possession of uh, alcohol, right? Drugs and tobacco, and also consume alcohol, drugs, and tobacco while you're in the university premises, right? You have the freedom to do so, but this is completely prohibited inside the university premises, right? So if you're found in the possession of alcohol, drugs, and tobacco, right? Of course, you don't have the freedom to use drugs uh, anywhere in this country, but we have the freedom to use alcohol and tobacco, but that freedom is not there while you're inside the university premises, right? So, and if you have already consumed the alcohol or consumed tobacco, you're not supposed to, and also use drugs. You're not supposed to enter the university premises after the consumption of any of these substances. And if you are found to be guilty of using these substances while you're inside the university, or you have use these substances outside and have entered the university, disciplinary action can be taken against you. And gambling. So what is gambling? Right? It's all about betting and acceptance of betting, acceptance of bets, and payment for running any betting scheme or any gaming scheme inside the university. Right. So if your students are caught gambling or betting, they'll be punished under the prevailing law of the university regulations. So no gambling or no betting inside the universities. So harassment and violence are something very important. So what is meant by harassment? Harassment is the illegal behavior towards a person that causes mental or emotional suffering, right? So it doesn't have to be, physical suffering. If it's even mental suffering, right? Even if your words can be considered as harassment, because it can lead to suffering of another person, right? So harassment is the illegal behavior towards any other person that causes the mental and emotional suffering. So that could involve threatening or using physical force against an individual or a group of individuals, right? So we could involve engaging in the violence or commotion, right, resulting in bodily injuries and physical trauma of individuals, or just a group of individuals. That can even involve that can even lead to damages of property, university property, right? So harassment also involves causing intimidation, bullying, or cruelty against individuals or group of individuals. Can also lead to can also consider harassment can be considered as pestering or causing annoyance to others, right? And also and this harassment can even involve phone. It doesn't have to be done physically, right? Verbally, and verbal abuse can also be done through phones, through emails, and through messages through computers and phones, right? So any means of mass communication, if you're sending, illegal and demeaning uh, words that could lead to suffering of another person, that can be considered as harassment. So anybody can complain any issues of harassment, right, to any staff member in the faculty, any staff member who can be a mentor, or who be your mentor, any person that can be considered as a counselor, senior student counselor, right? And then also the deputy proctor, which is myself, right? You can go ahead and uh, report, right? So please remember, if you're being harassed, if you're being physically abused, mentally abused, right? Please open up about it. Please don't keep quiet about this. Please, right, through messages or whatever it is, even tell a friend, right? That is very important. Please do not keep quiet. That could lead to, increasing bullying or increasing violence against you, increasing harassment against you, right? Please do not keep quiet, right? I also inform you about other modes where you can inform about being harassed or being faced to bullying, where you can report this, right? Another important aspect of university rules and regulations, that is ragging, right? So in the last 2 months, attention to university related ragging has increased because of obvious reasons. I'm sure you know what it is, right? So we have zero tolerance policy with respect to ragging, right? So as I've told to some of you in the meetings, ragging, I'm not saying ragging is completely zero in this institute, right? Ragging is there, but we have made efforts, even the students have made efforts to minimize this. But there are still cases of ragging in the universities. We are trying our best to eradicate ragging completely. So what is ragging? So ragging is the forcing of individuals to perform or engage in demeaning and or humiliating acts, right? Any acts you're supposed to be doing, or you're being forced to do by another group of individuals. It can be seniors, it can be your own students, right? Remember, we do not tolerate whether you've been subjected to harassment, you're being subjected to, you're being forced to perform or engage in demeaning and humiliating acts by your own batch members, right? It is irrespective of who it is, right? We request that you report it, right? We do not tolerate any of these activities, any bullying or harassment or ragging by your colleagues or seniors or even staff members, right? We will not tolerate. Please report. We will take disciplinary action. So ragging also involves bullying or forcing or intimidating individuals or group of individuals, right? So, so it can also be it can also involve creation of excessive physical or mental fatigue, right? You can be subjected to physical fatigue, right? You're being asked to perform certain tasks that you'll be very tired of. Even asking you to, be awake after 12:30, 1:30, and asking you to listen to talks and all kinds of things, right? That can lead to mental and as well as physical fatigue, right? So you might end up then so your classes will start at 8 p.m. in the morning, and you end up feeling as feeling sleepy in the class, right? These are all I'm talking through experience in the class where you're subjected to physical and mental fatigue because you're being asked to stay awake in the night and listen to all kinds of foolish talks by the senior students. And you'll be also be asked to wear certain kind of dresses when you're in the university in your first and the second semesters, right? So of course what you wear is your choice, right? As long as it is a decent dress, right, we do not care, right? As long as the decent follows the norms of this island or the country, we don't care whether it's a university or not. We will tolerate that, right? So no one has the right to ask you what to wear, right? What you wear is your personal choice. So if you're ever being asked to, or if you're ever being forced to dress up in a particular attire, right, please report to us, right? We will notice what you're wearing, and if we come across that, we will also take action even against you, right? Because if you're being asked to wear a certain kind of dress, we can gauge that you're being forced to do so. If you don't report us, we will start taking action against you, right? So remember, anti-rag prevention or anti-rag laws in this island is very strong, right? We can, if you are involved, if you're being forced to do something against your will, and if you don't report, we can still take action against you, right? Remember that. So so ragging also involves forcing someone to commit certain things that are morally degrading, right? You will feel ashamed of doing certain things, and you will feel humiliated, right? Even certain games and activities you're supposed to do, your seniors or even your own batchmates might sometimes ask you to do or request you to do. You might feel humiliated. You might feel down after doing certain things, right? So make sure you're not involved in any of these. And if you're being asked to do so, you feel free to inform it to us, right? Sometimes you are being asked to, come in the morning, early in the morning. Your work starts at 8. If you're asked to come to the canteen or to the faculty at 6:30 p.m. or 5:30 p.m., right, in the morning, and then you're supposed to, conform up to a certain norms in the, in the university, or certain sort of rules that are set by the students themselves, right? That can be still considered as ragging, right? So if any of these are, if you come across any of these, it is your right and it is your duty and responsibility to report to the authorities of the university, right? So all of these are prohibited and under the anti-ragging law of this country, right? So if you are not sure of the anti-ragging law, so there's a separate act. It is a prohibition and provision of ragging and other forms of violence in education institutions, Act number 20 of 1998, right? So refer to this, and all of this comes from that, right? So make sure that you abide and behave by the anti-ragging law of this institution. Make sure, according to the anti-ragging law, even subjecting another person to ragging, and also subjecting yourself, right? If you're getting yourself ragged by another individual is considered as a violation of the anti-ragging law, and then you can be considered, you can be and it can, and you'll be facing repercussions or disciplinary actions against it. I will, so since this is very important, I'll mention this in Sinhala also, right? මතක තියාගන්න මේකේ තියෙන මේ රැගින් වලට ඉන්වෝල්ව් වෙන එක, ඕගලන්ට මානසිකව හා ශාරීරිකව හා පීඩාවට ලක් කරන එක, ඕගොල්ලන්ව හැල්ලුවට ලක් කරන එක, තව කට්ටිය ඉදිරියේ, right? එක්කෙනෙක් හරි තව ගෲප් එකක් හරි හැල්ලුවට ලක් කරන එක, ශාරීරිකව හා මානසිකව හා පීඩාවට ලක් කරන එක අපි රැගින් හැටියට සලකනවා, right? ඉතින් ඒ පිළිබඳව අපිව දැනුවත් කරන එක, විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ බලධාරීන්ව දැනුවත් කරන එක ඔබගේ යුතුයකම, right? ඒ වගේම ඕගොල්ලෝ තව කෙනෙක්ව ඒ වගේ හැල්ලුවට ලක් කිරීම, රැගින් වලට ලක් කිරීම, ඒ වගේම ඕගොල්ලොත් හැල්ලුවට ලක් කිරීම, ඕගොල්ලොත් රැගින් වලට ලක්වීම, ඕගොල්ලොත් මේ නීතිය කඩකිරීම හා සමානව අපි කන්සිඩර් කරනවා, මේ නීතිය කඩ කරා සමානව සලකනවා. ඒක නිසා, right? ඕගොල්ලෝ තව කෙනෙක්ව අපහසුතාවයට හා රැගින් වලට භාජනය කරන්න එපා. ඒ වගේම ඕගොල්ලොත් රැගින් වලට භාජනය වෙන්න එපා. ඕගොල්ලොත් දෙකට භාජනය වෙලා හමු වුණොත් නීතිය හැටියට අපි ඕගොල්ලොත් ඒක නීතිය කඩ කරා හා සමානව සලකන්නේ. ඒක නිසා අහුවෙන්න එපා මේවට සහභාගී වෙලා. ඕගොල්ලෝ රැගින් කරලත් ඕගොල්ලෝ රැගින් වලට සහභාගී වෙලා මේ අහුවෙන්න එපා. ඩිසිප්ලිනරි ඇක්ෂන් එහෙම නැත්නම් නීතිමය පියවර ඕගොල්ලෝ දෙගොල්ලොටම ගන්නවා. So තව දෙයක් තියෙනවා, මේක ටික කාලෙකින් තියෙන ප්‍රවණතාවයක්. ඒක තමයි state intelligence services. ඒ කියන්නේ CID එකට සම්බන්ධ රහස් ඔත්තු සේවය, right? අපේ විශ්වවිද්‍යාලවල දැන් ඇතුලේ ඉන්නවා කියලා කියනවා. හේතුව මොකද? ඒගොල්ලෝ ශිෂ්‍යයන් වගේම වෙස් වලාගෙන ඉන්නවා. ඒකට හේතුව අපේ විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ තියෙන මේ පිළිකාව. ඒවත් රැගින් කියන පිළිකාව විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ මුලින් ඔබට දැමීමට තියෙන අවශ්‍යතාවය, ආණ්ඩුවේ තියෙන අවශ්‍යතාවය, right? ඒක නිසා, so state intelligence services have penetrated the university system, and they are disguised as students, and they are among you, right? So they will also report to the police if ragging related activities are there in the university, right? So in case if you don't feel like reporting to us, if you don't feel like reporting ragging related activities to us, and you can directly report anonymously without giving your name, without giving your name, or concealing your without revealing your identity. You can report to the UGC portal, through the UGC portal. You can select the institute, the university, the faculty, right? And then report that you have been subjected to ragging, you have been abused, right? Your rights have been violated by the senior students or your own batchmates, right? Own batchmates, and then so if you come across that, please, if you don't feel like reporting to us, please report it through the portal, and the messages will be, and that information will be channeled to us, and we will take the necessary action, right? And another important aspect of student related discipline is sexual and gender based violence. So what is this, right? So sexual and gender based violence includes forcing the will of a certain another person, forcing the will of a person on another person, right? And leading to sexual harassment, right? And sexual misconduct, right? So this can either be one person, forcing their will on another person, right? Against his or her will, right? And that person will be felt like their sexual rights have been violated, right? So this can be your own colleague, right? Your boyfriend, or your girlfriend, right? If something happens against your will, right? Or another batchmate, or a senior member of the faculty, or even a university staff member, right? the rule applies to all individuals, right? If a university staff member or a lecturer, right, forces his or her sexual will against another person, right, that can be considered as a violation of, of your rights, right? So remember that if any of that happens, remember to report it, right? The same, if you don't feel, if you feel shy to report it, right, remember, you can tell your friend, you tell your parents, right, your relatives, or your student counselors or mentors, right? If you don't feel like doing any of that, you still can use this portal, right? This portal is not only used to report ragging based ragging based issues. You can also report sexual and gender based violence issues, right? So we will of course get to know about it, and make sure if you're reporting these, make sure to specify the faculty, university, and then the faculty, right? So then it will come to us. So remember, if any of this, if ragging related activities or sexual law or gender based violence takes place, right? Either it's the same sex or the opposite sex, right? uh, we will have to report this to the police, right? We will of course take university, we'll of course have a university inquiry, and it will also be repeated to the police, because it is a violation of a human right, and it goes beyond the university, right? So make sure that you are not involved in any of this, right? So theft. What is theft? It is basically stealing, right? It is basically taking what is not yours, right? It can be physical good, and it can also be intellectual properties. And then, of course, when it comes to intellectual properties, it converges plagiarism, right? And also copying into the academic work and also research work and also other people's data. So these are all punishable offenses under the civil law, right? If you're involved in stealing or taking physical goods without permission, it can be considered as theft, and it comes under the civil law of this country, right? And it's still, and there'll be university as well as external disciplinary procedures that you will have to face through, you will have to go through, right? So when you're involved in, university activities, when you're borrowing equipment that is owned by the institute, make sure that you obtain written permission before you take them, because if you don't get written permission, you might be considered as it might be considered as theft, or you might be involved in stealing related activity, right? Vandalism. What is vandalism? Vandalism is a destruction of property of the university, and also provoking others to do so, right? So so if you're involved in destruction of the university, right, there are instances where students get, so it is your duty to maintain the property of the university and maintain it without destruction, so that countless students in the future can also use it, right? So if you're guilty of such act, right, the university rules will apply, and uh, disciplinary action will be taken against you. And unauthorized entry, right? So what is unauthorized entry? So so no visit. So if you are found in such instances, right, make sure you have a valid reason and also written approval to be in, right? You can be, disciplinary action can be taken against you, right? You have to cooperate with the authority, comply, meaning that you have to show it to the requesting authority. So the ID can only be requested by your supposed to comply and cooperate with the with the